What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for your Overwatch. Bear with me today. I am a bit under the weather, as you might be able to tell from my voice. I'm going to try my best. Today, we're doing another community news roundup video, which you guys seem to really enjoy, and I enjoy making it, so we're going to do more of it. News about professional boosters, comments more on the rank system, PTR patch, and actually a lot of stuff going on with the Overwatch League. First things first, a little bit of context. If you don't know, the Tier 2 scene is kind of grinding away behind the scenes right now, and it doesn't give it a lot of attention because Overwatch League already makes so much content, most people just go there to watch competitive Overwatch. However, there is a team called GOATs, which has been ripping and tearing their way through a lot of the recent competitions, most famous for using their 3-3 GOAT strategy. We've broken down how that comp operates on some videos on the channel. Lucio, Moira, tons of heals, stun, push W mouse 1 and run the enemy team over. It hasn't worked so well in OWL, but it was the dominant strategy in Tier 2. However, two very key players from GOATs got caught for account boosting. Their main tank, Gator especially, was quite important to even make this aggressive strategy work. He gets a full year ban, and other pros have gotten caught up with penalties as well. GOATs moved forward, they signed XQC, but aren't having the same results. XQC's been a sick tank player, but he doesn't really fill Gator's shoes, who plays quite differently to him. But that's just the context setup. The more interesting thing was a very revealing article on Inven Global written by Amelia Mary Justice, who makes the argument that pro boosting is the product of a historically underdeveloped Tier 2 scene. She actually got the opportunity to get some quotes from former and present boosters, most notably from one who runs a boosting company. An owner of one of these services said that players that he would hire were struggling to make ends meet, even to pay their rent, and aren't properly or reliably getting compensated from their Tier 2 orgs, or tournaments not paying out in a timely manner, so that even when they're winning, they struggle to make ends meet. He says, "I've given jobs to players who were actively playing on a team so that they could pay rent. I paid them before they even did the job." And from the perspective of one of these booster players, they said, "We were promised ladder scouting, so I put everything I had into the game. By the time I was good enough, no tournaments paid out anymore." And this is in reference to the fact that there really isn't a lot of Tier 2 competitions in general. There's been a few recently, but overall, one, ranked isn't really the place to go to get picked up to be a pro. That's not really how it works. In many ways, Blizzard wants the ranked system in order to be a path to pro, but due to many of the ranked issues that we've discussed ad nauseum on this channel, and everyone else has as well, that's not really where anybody looks for talent, making grinding ranked kind of a waste of time. And with tournaments being unreliable, as well as possibly even delayed in getting your rewards to you, the argument is getting made, what else are these pros really to do? If their goal is to do this professionally, and they probably even are good enough to do that, you can't really reasonably do a whole lot else with your time if you have to be grinding the game to be as good as you need to be in order to compete at all. And it can be argued that these players don't really have anything else to do, and the most profitable use of their skills, what they spend most of their time doing anyway, is playing the game, so account boosting is kind of an easy out in order to make ends meet. Now in the West, most of us don't really understand the culture of account boosting, but it's something that seems to be cropping over into our scene as well. It was a big epidemic in the Korean scene for quite a long time, and probably still currently is, and they have a much different view on it than us. They see it as bad as like match fixing, where you purposely throw matches in order to make bets behind the scenes in order to gain from your own loss, destroying the spirit of competition in the process. And I'm sure many of you in the comment section are probably saying, well, no one's making these players sacrifice everything in order to have an off chance in order to be a pro, so it's no one's fault but their own, ultimately, if they decide to invest their time in something that isn't productive. But we can't really have it both ways. If we want high-level Overwatch and we want new players to keep coming up, which I think many of us do, we think that's a good thing, this is something that we at least should be concerned about, even if there isn't any hard and fast answer. And probably the most appalling thing about all of this is the hypocrisy of it. Because even if you followed me up to this point, this next bit of information, if true, is shocking. Amelia says here that a former pro booster estimated that 70% of Overwatch League players are guilty of boosting. Wow. Think about that. Now, obviously, this is just hearsay. There's no evidence of this necessarily. However, the same kind of thing seemed to be the case in other sports scenes. A great example that comes to mind is Lance Armstrong, who was into competitive cycling and got in trouble for doping, doing steroids or whatever the heck it was exactly. I don't know precisely what the issue was, but the odd thing about it was that he got caught, but everyone else was doing it as well. Basically, functionally everyone else. So it doesn't surprise me personally if this number was accurate, because so many of the players that are in OWL right now went through this tier 2 scene, which might have been a bit more robust before Overwatch League, but it wasn't much more robust. There wasn't a ton of tournaments or sponsorship money for these players to make a living off of, and with account boosting being profitable, it seems to be an obvious thing that these players would tap into. I mean, think about it. You sign into someone else's account and play on it, win, and then log out. As long as there's no strings attached, you would think a lot of players would easily do that. And then the other problem, further mirroring the Lance Armstrong comparison, the punishments between contenders and the Overwatch League haven't really been consistent whatsoever. Sato got a pretty heavy ban for doing account boosting and didn't get to play until stage 4, but that's a lot shorter time than a year. OGE only got 4 games from after he got signed. This was justified at the time because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think Sato was sort of the leader in one of these companies, whereas OGE maybe did it one time or something. But in any case, this is quite troubling when the punishments are all over the place, especially on top of the fact that we have reason to believe that a lot of Overwatch League pros have boosted, whether it's Koreans in Korea, where it's more profitable, or even now in the West, where it seems to be a growing thing. A real complex and drama-filled story to start us off, guys. You're gonna have to let me know what you think in the comment section. There isn't really any easy answers with this. There's a whole lot of things I'm sure everyone would like to happen, but it's tough to make it all work out together. So instead of solving issues, I'm just gonna move on to the next news story, because unfortunately I don't have a solution. You may have noticed that the PTR got an update a few days ago. It was under a gig in size, and usually that means that it's just bug fixes, and indeed it was. I've yet to see any patch notes about this as well, but they've just been sort of tweaking some annoying bugs that are never really going to come into your game, and when it's that type of patch, we typically don't cover it, don't find it too interesting. When they change something significant, we will report on it, of course, but one cool thing was they did add Tracer's girlfriend, Emily, into the game. She's now a selectable spray, so that if you do dare to play Tracer in Season 10, at least you can look lovingly into your girlfriend's eyes and perhaps think of better times as you try to navigate around Brigitte, stunning and insta-killing you. This is a cool addition, and I like that there's a lot of cosmetics for the other characters that are tied to the heroes in the game. It helps build our connection with the characters, obviously. I like Anna's relationship with her daughter, Farah. Torb and Brigitte are one that's a little bit sinister. I'm a big fan of the spray that Widowmaker has of Gerard. A little twisted because obviously she shot him, but yeah, those things are always a welcome addition. Moving on, a little bit of a follow-up from our streamers hating ranked story from my last video. Gale, again, not really feeling Season 10, trying to motivate himself in order to stream. Been a popular streamer in Overwatch for a long time, and it can be tough when the ranked experience is kind of grating on everybody, but I really liked how PvP Twitch responded with what I think is the best way to try to enjoy ranked right now. He says, playing in a group with flexible players makes things a little better. Solo queue can be a real hell factory if you get the unlucky end of the matchmaking RNG, and I definitely agree with that, man. And luckily we do have LFG coming soon if you don't have friends currently in order to play with, but the difference between playing in a group and solo or duo is just night and day for me right now. I play at multiple different ranks from Diamond to GM, and the majority of games are just bad if you play in solo or duo. They're just a mess, everyone's uncooperative, you get unlucky with the types of teammates you get that can't really build a team comp, or people are just unwilling to work around other people's hero pools. Just eliminate all of that stress in your life and find some people to play with, because despite there being group punishments in the game still, Eddie made a video about this, but in short, there are definitely manipulations in order to make grouping less effective. They have also reduced some of the strain and punishments that did exist. That's been all but confirmed based upon the difference in performance of how the matchmaker seems to be working. It used to stack tons of SR against you if it couldn't find a group. Now it doesn't. Now there's other issues as well, longer queue times. They adjust your SR gain if you're not playing up against a group, stuff that I'm not a fan of. But ignore all of that, just play to improve with people you like playing with, and you're going to enjoy the game way more, I guarantee you. Even if it's harder and you lose a bit of rank before you gain any, just make the jump. Next up, our new segment called Your Jayne Watch. This time, Jayne rants about ranked. I agreed so vehemently that I just wanted to add it here.
I don't like playing ranked. I like pugs. Pugs are better at demonstrating communication and coordination and team compositions and counter-stratting. So from this day forward, ranked. I don't like it. You don't like it. It's not how the game was meant to be played. Let's do pugs instead. I'm so sick and tired of chasing some arbitrary numbers so that Reddit likes me. I just don't care.
I tend to agree with all of that, and Jayne's a relatively new content creator. We've been doing this since launch day. It's been a long time since I cared about grinding up the ladder in order to try to prove something. I play ranked to learn heroes, have fun, play with friends, and try to find out the things that the community is dealing with to try to make videos about. There's no point to focus on grinding for rank when the games don't improve as you go up the solo queue ladder. People get a bit better mechanically, but the team play just never materializes unless you're grouping up. So speaking of grouping up though, Amelia also put up a article on Invent Global about the LFG system. I've already talked about this at length in previous videos, so I'm not going to trigger you all with my opinions on that. I thought it was interesting and a good read, so you can check it out. She concludes in saying that LFG is definitely a good thing that the game needs, and I personally especially agree with the build friendships in-game. That's something that I think is probably most important, but she comes down on it kind of like I did. For its ranked application, it is not a sufficient solution to the game mode's problems. The initial excitement and novelty surrounding the announcement and release will soon fade to reveal that ranked is, well, still bad. Role queue, separate solo and duo queues, and a revamped matchmaking algorithm must be on the horizon, but at least LFG is a step in the right direction. Yeah, I tend to agree. The problem is, though, we've been playing the game for like 2 years, and it seems we take one step in the improving ranked department every 6 months or something, and we've taken just a few steps and we're barely even down the hallway. I'm looking for this step by step to turn into more like a jog or a sprint towards where I would like Overwatch to be, but hey, development comes in iteration. Overwatch is going to be here for a while. If you're feeling stressed with the game, take a break. Only play with friends. It doesn't have to be everything you do. Most of us aren't going pro, and before you know it, things are going to improve. LFG is definitely a step forward. And our last story, Overwatch Central did an interview with Linkser, who expressed some interesting opinions about the meta right now, saying Brigitte was actually a very good addition into the game, and the reason why she doesn't break things too badly is because you can definitely create counter comps against her, and instead blames Hanzo for making the meta kind of stale because he does a bit too much, especially with the fact that he has the mobility to get himself in and out of positions that he used to get punished for even trying to do. And remember guys, all links for everything that I've covered here today will be linked in the description if you want to go follow up to look more in depth in any of the things that I talked about. In these community news roundups, I would like a segment called the meme of the day, and what I want is for you guys to tweet us funny memes of things happening, either just clips of streamers or funny moments. So for example, here's one that I personally put together. Let me know what you think of this meme. Grade my meme in the comments from stale to dank, and send me your own clips of things put together from the community. I don't know, use MLG air horns, things like that. Let's have fun with this. Send them into @YourOverwatchYT on Twitter. Here's my first one.
One thing that I've read frequently is that skill rating gains and losses are much worse for the player in groups, which is absolutely not true.
How? If I go in as a 6-stack against just a complete random group of people, the SR gains will still be the same for me if we win, and then if we lose. Like, there's no change.
Not necessarily.
Why? I can't!
Guys, that's everything for today's community news roundup. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you can hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter. And if you have things that you see online that you would like us to cover in our community news roundup series, send us a tweet. Just drop the link in there and we may end up covering it. Even if it's as simple as players expressing their opinion online, clips from streams, Twitter, news articles, whatever it may be, we might cover it, so don't be afraid, send it in. And of course, any dank memes, because that's really what this is all about. I need the memes to sustain me. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.